What's the deal? What's the deal? What's the deal, people? We coming at you live and direct. We got a special one for y'all today, man. Lush pulled up. He said he need all the smoke. He taking any competitors, and of course Brandon, aka Uncle Ruckus, fan favorite, going for Rookie of the Year. He said he's taking all smoke. So we got an array of topics. They're gonna go at it, match intellect. Because Brandon, you just came off a debate, clean sweep, by the way, which was actually supposed to be a one-on-one, and it turned into a chat GPT and a less intelligent white supremacist versus you. Let's see what you and Lush can pull through.
So, okay.
We got
what
a
did you
real
think
white
about that debate,
supremacist
though?
in the building.
Obviously, Bucci Bear smoked boots in that debate. Like, it's undebatable. Bucci came out swinging. But then again, you're dealing with somebody who's intellectually inferior to you. And Adam 22 wasn't really helping his case.
So I faced the white supremacy soldier. Now this is the white supremacy master.
Oh, I ain't got nothing to do with it. I'm not a white supremacist.
But you came to run the back fade, right?
Yeah, he running the back fade for the white supremacists, by the way.
Nah, hell nah. Our fade was already set up. This is the back fade that I'm running for the entirety of No Jumper.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm doing this for No Jumper. Because you came over here, right? And I thought, hey, this is a great, talented new podcaster. He's showing a lot of promise. I'm gonna let him cook. You feel me? I didn't realize that he had an agenda of destroying systematically each member of the No Jumper cast until he could go back home to Long Beach to you guys and be like, yeah, I just ran a one-man train on the entire fucking squad and displayed my intellectual superiority. I was like, damn, I didn't even realize we was catching a fade.
Shout out to Long Beach. Hey, look, but before we get into the topics, we're going to give y'all, let's say, like 2 minutes to go back and forth. Y'all can't be going on for 10, 15 minutes trying to get your point across. Let's ping pong it back and forth. First person to throw an insult in a debate typically loses, but man, fuck all that. We just gonna go by the street.
Yeah.
Do whatever you do.
Hey, so you can roast, I can roast as good. You feel me?
But before we start, let me introduce bro. We got my boy Messiah over here. Go ahead and let the people know who you is, man.
Man, LBC Messiah the Great, man. Y'all know what time it is. And it's going to be a good one for y'all, man. Because Lush say he got the intellectual side. We know where Brandon coming from. He's shooting from the hip. So we going to see what's up today.
I mean, Brandon against his own people. Tariq Nasheed hate this fool. You feel me? He reps FBA and like literally the poster child, the star, the cornerstone of FBA movement. You had a lawsuit against bro. You feel me? You had a whole issue with him. So you feel me?
You said I rep FBA?
You don't rep FBA?
I don't rep that.
You're not a foundational Black
That's
American.
ignorant. That's a cult. That ain't no damn identity. That ain't no lineage.
But you was rocking with that for a long time.
I was never rocking with that.
But then why was you an orbiter of Tariq Nasheed for so long?
Because FBA is a divisive movement among Black Americans to separate ourselves from Black continentals, African continentals, and Caribbean people.
Pan-Africans.
But all this would be Pan-African. But it's basically like, you know how you have like Asians? Mm-hmm. There's Japanese, Cambodian, Vietnamese. Okay. But when they all come to America, they're all categorized as Asian.
Well, a lot of them are categorized as Pacific Islanders as well. So
Asian / Pacific Islanders.
So you're already down 1 point,
no, I'm
brother.
not down. No, because it's Asian Pacific Islander. But if you really knew the culture like you think you do, a Pacific Islander is like a Samoan,
correct,
a Tongan. They don't consider themselves to be Asian.
Correct.
They all exist within the Pacific Ocean, but they are different, even genetically.
That's why
speaking,
I corrected you when
different.
you said that all of them are categorized as Asian.
No, but Asians,
continental Asians, and then there's
Cambodians, Vietnamese, Chinese. They really have no genetic difference.
Well, hold on. You said Japanese, Cambodians, and Chinese have no genetic differences?
Not really, no.
You're 1,000% wrong. Okay. So first of all, Cambodia they have way more similar genetically with Vietnamese.
Okay.
Who are significantly darker in appearance, have...
that would be phenotypically. Not genetically.
Can you explain the difference between those
Phenotype is the look, the appearance. Genetics,
which are determined by genetics.
DNA.
But your genetics determine your phenotype.
Phenotype is not necessarily their genetics do play a role in phenotype, but a lot of phenotype can be determined by just your geography.
Exactly, and you would have been a lot more on point if you would have said Koreans, Chinese, and Japanese.
Listen.
But no, what do you mean? You're like literally mislabeling an entire race.
I'm using them.
They're completely different.
There's only one race. There's only one race, the human race.
Okay.
Well, you're gonna stop with your ethnicities.
Right. But yeah, like Kendrick said, ethnicity. But however, if you know anything about Japanese people, they're probably amongst the most racist people in the world.
Okay, that's true.
Okay, and they believe
they're ethnocentric. They're not racist.
Correct. Thank you for correct.
Okay,
No, that's a better term. They're the most ethnocentric and believe in the superiority of their own people more than any others. They have a hierarchy, and Cambodians are very, very low on the similar to the way Europeans had the caste system back in the day. The Japanese have a similar outlook amongst different Asian ethnicities. Cambodians are not even remotely similar.
Why wouldn't, if you go
let me ask y'all a question real quick. Do you believe that thinking that you and your race is superior is racist? Because the first word you used was racist. So your ideology to that way of thinking had to be, okay, that makes you racist.
I think that it's difficult for any race to be quote unquote racist other than the one that's systematically oppressing the rest of the races of the world. So by definition, racism is pretty much only applies to white people in my opinion. However, prejudice has no color.
Okay, let me get back to my point I was making. So basically, the FBA stuff is calling for the separation of African Americans within the United States, meaning the Black Americans or the descendants of slaves, ADOS, should be separate, their own category, separate from Black Caribbeans, Black continental Africans, or American, those people who have come over to America. Pan-Africans, we don't believe in that. We believe all Black people should stick together and work together for our collective empowerment.
Okay, so
if you really fuck with Black people, you can understand why someone like me can't rock with that division, because it's always divide and conquer.
That totally makes sense.
Tariq is working for the white man, and he's an agent, and he is attempting to use divide and conquer tactics to weaken the Black community within the United States.
Wouldn't Tariq argue that he's actually pushing for the advancement of the Black people in the United States, and you are an agent of chaos that has been unleashed upon the FBA movement to try to make them, like, he kind of had the same argument about you?
Tariq has been grifting Black people for decades, 20 years or more. He stands to profit off the division. We know that because Tariq entered into the ADOS movement, American Descendant of Slaves. He co-opted that movement. He fractured that movement under this guise that he was going to be able to help African Americans or descendants of slaves get reparations. Once he splintered that group, profited off that group, right? Then he changed it to, I'm not the leader. So you're giving the name FBA, which he stole from Dr. Claude Anderson. You're giving the name FBA. You copyright the name FBA. You give the guidelines for what is or is not an FBA. And then when people ask you, well, where's all the stuff you said you were going to deliver to us? You say, well, I'm not the leader.
What were the promises that he said he was?
That he would help them get reparations. He literally said, I'm going to show you how to get reparations.
Do you believe in reparations?
No.
Why is that?
I don't believe reparations ever going to happen. Do I think Black people deserve to be compensated for the work that was done for the free labor from slavery? Yeah, you should get some type of reparative justice for that. Do I believe Black people forfeited that when they agreed to the civil rights agreement? I also believe that. So you can't tell somebody, we want money from you or reparations from you, then go in and say, well, we want to have this situation where we're all equal and no one's better than anyone and have like a brotherly bond. And then later on, when that doesn't work, come back and say, oh yeah, but what about that money you owe us or that we wanted before? It's just literally buyer's remorse. It's retroactive justice.
That's a crazy way to look at it. Buyer's remorse.
We want it to be with white folks.
More like stealer's remorse.
So let me ask y'all one thing. So with this Tariq Nasheed, they say he just founded the Black Museum. Do y'all feel like that was beneficial for us? Would he still be considered, what'd you say, not an agent of chaos, but somebody that's against the culture? Or is that somebody pushing for the culture?
It's not a museum.
So what is it?
It's just a comedy lounge at this point, because that's all I ever see happening there. It's closed every single day, all day long. They have hours of operation listed. They're never open during those hours. On top of that, I think it's 11 to 4, Monday through Friday. If we go over there right now, it's closed.
What's your thoughts on reparations?
I think there should definitely be reparations. I don't know what the process of actually achieving it looks like or how that affects the actual economy and things like that, but there definitely needs to be amendments made for the wrongs that were done. 1,000%.
But these people don't want they don't want reparations in the sense of repairing the damage caused by slavery. These people want money. So whenever you try to get them to, whenever you ask them about like actual things that could be done to help repair the harm done, they're like, oh, we don't care about that. Just cut the check. They got a literal slogan that says cut the check. And if you try to discuss reparations outside of that with them, they don't even want to entertain the conversation. On top of that, they don't even have a number. For example, if you say I owe you money, right? Mm-hmm. The number one thing you need to do is determine how much money I owe you.
And it's pretty difficult to quantify when you're talking about transatlantic slave trade, right?
Exactly. So what was done during slavery was generational harm.
Right.
So you need generational repair. Correct. How is me giving you a check of an undisclosed amount that you haven't even calculated gonna help Black people going forward? When you're saying, if I tell you, why don't we put this into like Black education? Why don't we create scholarships or economic infrastructure? You say, no, I don't want to do none of that. I just want to check.
Again, I don't have a problem with the methodology of how it's dispersed or anything, but I definitely think it needs to exist.
But what's the amount?
They
want $17 trillion.
Well, I'm not mad at that either. But what I want y'all to see,
the U.S. economy.
What I want y'all to see is this though.
That's a good number.
This is the reason why I feel like he had an agenda with coming over to No Jumper, because this was a big dude in the FBA movement. He's over there pushing the line in all the conversations, showing up to rallies, super involved in Tariq Nasheed's dealings to the point where you admittedly showed up to his spot because you were concerned that it was being vandalized, right?
No.
But that's what you said.
That's not why
But I have you on a live saying that right now.
I showed up to the spot because people from outside of California asked me to go by because Tariq was collecting donations saying that he was up against white supremacists who were vandalizing his property.
Right.
So Black people coming together, right? And this is why a lot of Black people don't like to donate to shit now, because a lot of times it ends up not being what people claimed it was. So they asked me to go check as someone who's in this area. I went to check. Everything. I talked to the person who was a tenant there.
The white lady.
She was Mexican. And when I talked to her and posted it, people said, wait a minute, Tariq was supposed to be opening up a museum. How is this lady saying that he just extended her lease until the following year? And that caused him to get blowback. And he got mad and he sued me and tried to file a restraining order against me. I never sued Tariq.
No, I understand.
Tariq took legal action against me.
I think both of y'all made a great point because y'all blew past the reparations. I still was processing what both of y'all was saying. I think both of y'all have a point. I think money definitely has to be involved because money was directly stolen and taken from the Black community. That's just a fact. They actually have numbers on how much was stolen. I'm not going to say strictly from the Atlantic trade slave and all of that, but I mean like through taxes alone, they estimated about 15 trillion just from tax money stolen, not to mention that the money that they invested in certain banks and then the banks go belly up and all of a sudden we out of money. So to sit here and be mad at the Black culture for wanting money that is rightfully owed to them that was stolen would be idiotic to say you guys are crazy to want. But also, hold on. In his point too, the infrastructure also does have to be rebuilt as well, because that is another systemic obstacle that's invisible to most of the world if you don't have to face it. But it is something that's real. So I think both parts have to come into effect when we're talking about reparations.
Well,
not just money, because most niggas is just gonna blow the money. But some people will say, so what? You got the money. That's your reparation. That's your get back. If you blow it, that's on you. But I'm with you too. Like, there does need to be some type of infrastructure built. And we can prosper.
I just think most people look at it in a sense it's like, well, since we ain't getting nothing, you need to start somewhere. So start here with the money. Like you said, now to keep that going for future generations, what you said has to be put into place. I just think most people are just like, well, y'all need to start here before y'all do anything else. All that trying to rebuild for years down the line. Start with the money, then we can worry about rebuilding and doing everything else.
No, 100%. Like if I owe you money, Brandon, right? Let's say I owe you 20 bands, right? And I've been ducking you for a long ass time. And then I'm like, I keep hitting you like, yo, Brandon, I'm gonna pay you soon. You ain't gonna take anything I say seriously. You're gonna want to beat my ass, right? But then one day I shoot you 2 bands, you feel me? And I'm like, hey, I'm gonna work on figuring out the rest, but just so you know I'm serious, boom.
Right.
You're probably gonna be a little bit more receptive to whatever solution I have to offer, correct?
But here's the thing: that's not an accurate, description of what's going on. For one, if you had kept your economy separate, that's why you heard me say desegregation is the worst thing that happened to black people, because once you desegregated, you eliminated a lot of your claim to that stuff. And the reason I say that is because if you still had your separate black economy and your separate white economy, it would be much easier to say you owe me this, pay me this amount over this amount of time. But once you integrate it, which black people did willingly, wanted to do it, went and fought and marched, and this is what we want, right?
Right.
White people finally said, all right, y'all out there going crazy. What do y'all want? Wait a minute.
But how does this have to do with reparations, though?
I'm explaining it
because that is complete.
I'm explaining it to you. When Lyndon B. Johnson, as black folks, okay, y'all out here marching, fighting, all that. Y'all getting bit by dogs, water hoses. America is on your side. What do you want? Did black people say, we want reparations, we want money, we want repair for slavery? No, black people said, we want equality.
Well, right.
So what we did was...
Again, it's a step towards the inevitable goal.
No, what you did was you forfeited the reparations to get equality so you could be looked at as equal to a white person in the United States. Here's the thing. When you say that's a good start, it's not even a start, because black people have yet to determine a number, and you can't say $17 trillion because, one, if they gave you that at once, that would bankrupt the country. Hyperinflation would make us all broke. Our money would be worthless. 2, you got a bunch of Americans paying taxes who never owned a single slave. They didn't even come to America till 20, 30 years ago.
Right.
How are you going to convince them to allow their taxes to be raised so that they could pay a bunch of black people reparations?
So
no one's going for that crap.
But obviously America sets the pace for the global economy, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so obviously black people in other regions, in other parts of the world are still affected by what happens here.
Okay.
Correct? So,
but no, I think you're missing my point. America is way too diverse, and there's way too many different types and groups of people, way too much mixing, blacks and whites having babies, Mexicans and blacks having babies. All this, we're all mixed up. If you give black people reparations, that means the United States government has to levy a tax, raise taxes to finance that, especially $17 trillion worth.
correct.
So we're in democracy, whether black people like this or not. You're a part of a republic that is ruled by representation. It's a republic with a democratic system
This
of election.
is a long-winded way of saying you don't believe that black people deserve more money about what happened.
This is
Very much so.
I'm
wrong?
Hold on. Let me say what I'm saying. It's not a long-winded way. You're trying to run past my point because you don't have an argument for it. You have many different races here now. How are you going to levy a tax against them for what whites owe blacks, especially when black people willingly integrated into this situation?
It's not about it's not about other people being deprioritized. It's about making right what happened, what white people and the United States did to black people.
But they don't want to pay for that.
That has nothing to do
Yes,
with it.
it does. Because
you're saying they don't even deserve it.
Because this, no,
It's
I
not
never
exa-
said, at the beginning you asked me, did I say, do they deserve it? I said, yes, it's not feasible because those people, whether they agree with blacks or not, they never owned slaves. That is why reparations unanimously, if you look at the polls, 95% of Americans do not agree with reparations because
I don't know about the accuracy of that.
Okay, well, look it up.
And I think if you looked within the black community, those statistics would be very
if you
different.
only look in the black community, but there's Asian communities, Hispanic communities, white communities. There's all these communities.
You hate Mexicans, and
I don't hate
now all of a
Mexicans.
sudden,
Okay, we're talking about black reparations,
Yeah, he's
right?
not
So
even-
everybody else opinion on that is low key irrelevant.
No, it's not because
between
they
black
got to
and
vote
white.
to pass it.
But I understand you speaking on like the unfeasibility of it, which I agree with
You
to a
have
certain
to
extent.
vote to pass reparations into law. If all these people be like, hell no, that means those politicians that represent them. See, this is the issue. You guys don't want to accept that we live in America. Representatives are the ones who vote on what gets passed and not. If the people who y'all saying don't matter, because that's just a lazy way of approaching it, if they don't matter, why would they ever allow their representative to vote for you to get
I
reparations?
think you're arguing two different things though.
Well, no,
Because you
sorry.
asked him, does he believe in like cash reparations, right? Like money. I think that's where the debate was. Not really so much how we gonna make it happen, how much.
Correct.
It was really, do you agree blacks are owed cash reparations? Everything else could be ironed out later. But
And I'll say
think
that
that
I
was
think
the
that-
original topic of the debate.
Correct. And I'll say that all Pan-Africans should be privy to that, not just the victims of slavery.
Pan-Africans support reparations. Like, we believe that reparations are owed. We do
I feel
not
like you
believe-
turf hop though.
We
From,
do not believe reparations will be. We don't believe that's a hill that we should be dying.
But you hood hopped from you was FBA gang or don't
I was
bang.
never in the FBA.
But you was though. Like you got to acknowledge the reality because you're pushing the line. You're a Tariq Nasheed orbiter for a long time.
I was never a Tariq Nasheed orbiter. I literally stopped talking about Tariq on my channel because I was like, I don't want it to become like a Tariq Nasheed hate channel.
Are you sure it wasn't the Bucci Bear ethering?
When Tariq sued me and tried to put a restraining order on me, obviously it forced me to talk about him because he was suing me. Once that was over, even after the Bucci Bear stuff, I stopped talking about Tariq. Listen, I'm a journalist.
Because he smoked you and ran you about the scene, then you had to turf hop to Pan-Africanism.
No, I was a Pan-African way before I even had any involvement with Tariq.
Because I've seen you pushing ADOS ideology before. You feel me?
You've never seen me do that.
I have.
When?
You know what I mean? Like, look, bro, I could pull up different.
Pull it up.
I mean, like, sure, but I could pull up different Twitter
Give me an
spaces
example
right
of
now.
something I said
Something that you said
that was pro FBA ADOS.
I mean, like a lot.
Just
a
give
lot.
me one thing.
Can you give one example?
Let me think of an example. I would say that the best off top, you just being in the Tariq Nasheed community and pushing his line, and your whole entire vibe switched from being a staunch supporter
I was
to like.
never a supporter.
So you were an antagonist the whole
FBA
time,
hates me.
but they didn't always hate
They've
you.
always hated me.
And when did this start?
Since the very first video I made about ADOS.
Okay.
Because I made a video about ADOS saying that they weren't going to vote Democrat if they didn't get reparations on the table. And the Democrats all unanimously said, we are not going to give you reparations. Every Democrat candidate. This was in 2016 when Trump,
Hillary versus Trump.
Hillary versus Trump.
Yeah.
They all said, no, this was actually in 2020, right before, it was 2020, before Biden beat Trump. Every presidential candidate on the Democrat side said, we are not going to even consider reparations except for one lady, Marianne Williamson. You know what the ADOS leaders told those people at that conference? They said, you know what we're going to do because they don't want to talk about reparations? Well, we're going to vote down ballot. And then Antonio Moore leans over and says, Democrat. So I said, how are you going to make the Democrats consider giving you reparations when they said they're not going to do it and you're still voting for them?
So essentially, you were always just an agent of chaos in the ADOS / Black Foundational.
Hold on, let's close out the reparations, right?
Okay.
Y'all both made some points. I'm in agreement with you. We're owed reparations, but the money that they owe us was taken in blood. So unless you're going to take it in blood back, you're not getting it. Trying to ask and beg for it and put it up for vote in a country where we're the minority and everybody's programmed to hate us anyway, we know it's going to get voted down.
And
So I always tell people, if you're not willing to do what it takes to get it the way they got it, you're not getting it. Trying to go, hey, please give me reparations. They fucked you over already. You're actually the same people who put you in this position, essentially, to help you out of it. It's not going to happen. So we could close off on that because it's just going to be a circular.
Unless you're willing to fight. But everything
And I
you
don't
said,
think- I don't think we really
what you
disagree
think
with
about it,
that.
bro? Because we're going to close it off.
Nah, I agree. I agree to exactly what you're saying. It makes no sense to keep crying about reparations. They're not giving reparations like you said. They took it. Anything that we tried to create, from Black Wall Street to everything else, when we thought you was trying to separate or do anything for the people, they came and tore that motherfucker down. So like you said, if you ain't getting it back that way, it's not gonna happen. They're not finna do that. They're constantly showing you they're gonna keep their foot on our necks unless you're doing something aggressively to go against that.
And as far as segregation, are you saying you're in favor of segregation or you're
Yes,
against
he's
it
a
at this point?
separatist.
Both of y'all.
He's a separatist.
just as a side note, reparations was actually paid following what happened in the Tulsa massacre, Black Wall Street. They did get paid reparations for that. But separatists,
What's the value of a human life?
Even you saying them getting paid for it, but everything that they built, like you said, from separating, ain't getting built back again.
and
they
there's,
built it back.
and there's several
still there
lives
to this
lost.
day.
And who owns it?
Black people.
Yeah, I gotta look up
Black
that.
Wall Street is still there. Go look it up. It's called the Greenwood District.
And it's in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
It's in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
And,
Are you in favor of segregation?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think that racial.
Who would he glaze? No,
Yeah, who would I glaze?
Let him get his bars off.
Who would I glaze? No, real talk. I mean, like, first of all, if I was in favor of segregation, I wouldn't live in Los Angeles, one of the most culturally diverse regions.
You live in Van
the
Nuys.
entire-
Don't know black people live there.
I live in MacArthur Park, all right, is one of the most diverse. I literally live in the most densely populated region in Los Angeles, the second most diverse city in the United States.
MacArthur Park is right there by LAX. Is that where?
No.
Wait. Oh, what is that called?
No, that is called Inglewood.
So are you in favor of segregation, period, or just like business-wise, educational-wise, health-wise, or you're saying to separate all the way?
The thing with me is I'm not a separatist and I don't necessarily believe in segregation. What I believe is that black people in America and all over the world need to reconnect with Africa economically, politically, and even spiritually, if you throw that in there. That's what I believe in. We have to come together because if you look at the way the United States is shaped, the groups that dominate the economic playing field are groups who have ties back to their homeland.
Correct.
They can get money from there. They send remittance back over there. And if push comes to shove, they can go there and do business if they need to. That's all I'm telling black folks to do. Let's just reconnect back with where we came from. You could stay in America. Pan-Africanism means black people all over the world, not just in Africa.
I mean, Africans have sub-Saharan Africa is typically like black people, but North Africa, they look a lot more like Middle Eastern. There's parts of Africa where there's hella white people that have been there for.
Which parts of that?
Zimbabwe has a large white population. South Africa
Large, they're like 3% of the population.
Okay,
It's not large. It's white Africans. Though.
there's white Africans, and South Africa has a. I'm not proud of them at all, but they definitely have a significant white
This
population
topic
as well.
always confuses me when racists like the idiot they had up here last week
Yeah.
said segregation is the answer because we've done that already. And every time black people segregate, start to build and start to succeed, they start to infiltrate and impede on that success to try to slow it down. So it's like, do you really want segregation or do you want us to segregate and starve? Because when
Right.
we segregate and we start to prosper, we always get infiltrated and something tragic always happens that brings us back to square zero. So that's always my confusion with them telling us to segregate. We do that.
Right.
Black people, like Brandon made the point when he made the debate. Yeah, we do that just fine. You want us over here? Cool. We start building.
Right.
Second we get to 50% of your wealth, all of a sudden, oh man, we need the civil rights. We need this. Y'all need to give up your businesses. Come integrate with us.
Or you start
It's
the
always some
Klan,
shit go-
or you start the
bombing
KKK
shit.
up. It's,
So
Yeah, so it's like-
that's all.
That's
You know what I'm
basically all I was
saying?
getting at.
With all that, are you against racial mixing as far as like reproduction and things like that. Do you feel like, okay, let me rephrase that because I know that's such a vague question. Do you feel like it waters down the DNA and the genetics of the black race when y'all mix with other races?
I wouldn't say it waters down the DNA or the genetics. I'm not even against race mixing. I'm against race mixing in a certain situation. Like you can't have 20
Because you're a
million.
reformed bunny hopper, right?
No,
Like-
I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not.
You literally, this fool used to f hella white girls.
Where?
Oh, in high school.
What? I had a white girlfuand in high school.
Hell yeah, bunny hopper. What's up?
Hold on, you got okay, race
Wait,
mixing, we talking about having kids,
Beverly-
right?
Okay, so
Yeah.
Okay.
so to get to the point,
Bunny hopper.
so yeah, nah. But so one white girlfriend in high school, that's crazy.
Probably
but
a few.
but the thing is, you know, when you have
That's
20 million
reparations.
black,
Bunny hopping is reparations, people. I just want to let you know that.
I'm not
That
mad
is a
at that.
form of reparations.
that's crazy.
I'm not mad at that.
Get
in the
your
slightest.
reparations.
I'm all about black love, man. But when you have 20 million black babies being aborted since like the 1960s, yeah, it does make me wish that black men and women would come together to make children a little more with more exclusivity. So I'm not against race mixing. I am just looking at black people saying, look, we're up against it. There's Planned Parenthood in all of our neighborhoods. You come to out here, I don't see no Planned Parenthoods. Where the white folks at? So
Isn't that more of a socioeconomic thing than a race
that's
thing,
more
though?
of a socially engineered thing by that's social engineering by white people, like Margaret Sanger. She literally said, guess what? I want to get rid of black people. I don't want a lot of them being born here. And there, to this day, is a Margaret Sanger Award. So for you to even imply, which is what you're doing, that I am being like radical or unrealistic about the agenda against black people.
I never
as far
said
as
that.
I felt like it was implied.
No, not at all. 'Cause if anything,
Okay, let's wait.
I'm gonna strengthen that.
Hold on. Do you believe in race mixing? Because he said he's cool with it.
I think it's the most. I think it's vital. I think it's vital.
Okay,
What makes it? Hold on. What makes it vital though?
Well, there's several things. They're like number one, like this.
want to make the basketball team, huh?
Yeah.
Trying to get that melanin, cuz.
Well, look, I think that the number one thing is genetic diversity.
Okay.
Okay, break it down.
Genetic diversity is the foundation of genetic advancement. You know what I mean? If you take, so let's look at like the white people in the hills, for example, right? Let's look at the Appalachian Mountains, right? Very little genetic diversity. The same people have been fucking each other for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Eventually, you get like a subhuman version of that race because they are not just race, but that type of people because they mingled with each other and everyone's eventually humping on their cousins. There's no genetic diversity, so that means that those genes are only going to advance to a certain extent. Now, when you mix genes with other types of genes, it actually has more of a chance of that offspring having more mental and physical capabilities.
You mean in general or you mean black people?
No, in general. I'm talking Asians mixing with Mexicans, blacks mixing with Arabs, whites mixing with Mexicans, whatever. Like all genetic diversity.
But black people are the most genetically diverse people on the planet. We have more genes than every other group.
So you're saying that there's no need to...
We don't need to do that. That's what everyone else needs to do.
Well, eventually, if there's a concentrated area and people are stuck there, no matter what, eventually the lack of genetic diversity is going to wind up watering down the gene pool in a negative way.
Well, that's the thing. We still got Africans and everything else coming over here who share our genetic makeup. So, like, if you look at the genes, like, black people have the most genes, white people have this. Can you fact check this for me, Danny?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask
But
about that.
I believe black people have the most genes, and then his next is whites.
They say African populations have the most genetic diversity,
Yeah.
which is scientifically significant.
Yeah, we have the most genetic diversity.
Yeah, I don't think black people have to mix with other races to get the enhanced diversity. Like we're pretty diverse people.
And then when we got white in us, it made us even more genetically diverse. So
right.
But I'm curious to know under what circumstance you're against it, because you say you're for it except certain circumstances. Are we talking financial where you got a wealthy black guy? Like, what are we talking?
But real quick, not to cut you off, you literally just kind of acknowledged my argument because you said black people mixed with white people and became more genetically diverse.
No, I'm not. I'm saying we were already genetically diverse before we ever met you, but the black people during slavery, where our grandmothers were raped. Then we got more genetically diverse because of that. So the genetic diversity argument, that really only benefits, that's a one-sided thing. We don't need any more genetic diversity.
First of all,
we have all of it.
But what do you mean when you met us? Because remember, all life started in Africa, right?
Yeah, we met you guys later.
We was here first.
Correct. All life started in Africa, right?
Yeah, but you guys migrated out of Africa.
Correct. The genetic
you guys started
recessive,
sleeping with your cousins.
The genetic recessive
gene pool
trait
got reduced. Your genes became recessive, and then when we got dragged out of Africa, well, when y'all came to Africa to enslave us, that's when we met y'all.
First of all, so the genetic diversity, the genetic recessive trait of albinism or light skin or lack of melanin started in Africa before. That's what forced the white people to get up out of there. You feel me? In fact, that's actually the origins of racism. Matter of fact, it's the first example of a caste system.
I don't think
in history.
I don't think that was due to genetic recessive genes. I think that was a mutation.
It is a mutation.
And then,
but that's the same thing.
They got ostracized.
Mutation is basically like y'all was created.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Niggas created them in the lab.
Niggas made them in the lab. We look at the scientists. They gonna eat us alive.
They had that mad scientist came
Y'all ain't about to have me on Twitter.
Shout out to Billy Carson.
I read about something about that. And they said it was a nigga that did that to create the
the Anunnaki. Shout out to Anunnaki.
Shout out to the Anunnaki.
Shout out to Billy Carson.
What's it called? Nibiru? Yeah.
Okay, but under what circumstance are you saying you're against it? Because you cut yourself off there.
But I'm against race mixing.
Yeah, because you said you're for it, except certain circumstances.
I said I don't mind it, but I'm saying what makes me lean towards being against it. The moment, because at different times you feel different ways. So in the situation or the circumstances that we're in America, where we got like our women, there's literally a campaign for our women to get abortions. Right. And they're not running those campaigns in any other community. I would say Black love has to be the message and the
mantra.
Not the mantra. Black love has to be
the movement. You gotta
the movement or the priority.
Okay, so are you're for it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. How about you?
What?
Race mixing, you for it or you against it?
He not supposed to be. Yeah, he not supposed to have an opinion.
He gotta have an opinion.
I am. You crazy? Nah, but I ain't against it. But I do. It is what it is. You mingle what you mingle with. But it's like that shit is sketchy because the more they mix, the more that we start to die off. So it's a little.
You think black people are better than Asians at math?
I think Arabs created math, so they're the best.
I think we can.
We're all fighting for second place.
Be?
I don't think they created math, but go ahead.
I'm just saying, like, so there's nothing about any other race that they might have the ups on.
I literally gave it to Arabs, bro. I said Arabs invented math. Okay. So what are you talking about? So you love twisting what I'm saying.
No, I'm not. I'm leading you to a greater point here.
I think it's up to the individual.
So, which would mean that there might be an advantage for mixing with that blood because it might make black people more advanced mathematically. And that's just one small example.
That means
so what you trying to say, man, black people don't know math?
No. I'm just saying that black people might not be the number one at every single aspect of life.
Because everything is about need, right? So what need did black people in Africa who basically was hunting, farming, and fucking, what need do we have for math?
I got 2 wives. I got 3.
We literally had the perfect life. And then it was ruined. And you want me to tell you how I know that was the perfect life? You want me to tell you how I know that was the perfect life?
Let's talk about this.
Because now the richest of the richest white people, they will give up all their riches. They'll separate themselves from their riches or use their riches to do what? Go somewhere way out isolated. I'm moving with my family to the hills of Appalachia or to the freaking Ozark Mountains. They literally are searching for the life that Africans had in Africa.
I gotta correct both of y'all because mathematics actually started from us.
Okay.
So language itself, music, mathematics. I mean, damn near everything that we use in the world started from us.
So that debunks everything.
So that debunks and math. Hold on, I'm not being biased. I'm just strictly speaking facts.
No,
you can look this up.
Now they gonna say we jumped.
No, we're not jumping them. No, because you hold on, we're not jumping them because he said the Arabs and I said I disagree because I know for a fact. I remember I was researching this. The origins of mathematics itself actually comes from Africa.
The origins of life comes from Africa. So everything comes.
But them being
who do you think is superior right now, though, at this moment? Who's the
math
most
could be learned, though. So
it can be learned.
You don't need to procreate with an Asian to be good at math. You just got to practice math.
But he's just asking who's the best. We got to look up who won the math Olympics or whatever.
Man, you can't even pronounce bro name. It got 3 X's in it. You feel me? From China. I promise you.
No. Look, we're gonna go to the next topic. I don't want to drag on that, but my view on basically crossbreeding, I don't view people saying that they only want to procreate with themselves as being racist. I think white people, they get a bad rap with that, or any race when they say they want to procreate with themselves. I think you should. I think it's smart. I think black people should start doing it more, especially wealthy black people, because what we start to notice, when wealthy black people procreate, their kids usually start having kids with the other side that they procreated with, meaning that wealth eventually gets washed out of the black circulation. That's why a lot of people like Dr. Umar is against it. And we actually start to mate ourselves out. So if I procreate with a white woman, then my son go procreate with a white woman. Well, shit,
it increases the likelihood of that.
We're about to take ourselves out of the game. But what you start to see, other races in other countries are actually desperately trying to procreate with black people. They're actually paying black men to impregnate their women because they want to get the melanin in their genetic gene pool, because they think without it, they're gonna die off. So this is all stuff you can fact check and research.
No, there might be some truth to that. There might, with the dissemination of our ozone layer. Shit,
melanin is worth more than gold, by the way.
Melanin is a valuable trait.
They used to literally eat us. But
Can we go to the
destruction
next
of the black nuclear family. I just had to drop some bars real quick.
No, so with that being said, Brandon, do you think that I have white savior complex?
I think you just want to be accepted by maybe you experienced some trauma in the past with your own group, maybe your parents or your brothers or sisters.
Like with Tariq Nasheed when he abused you?
Basically.
Yeah.
So now you kind of look, maybe you were shown love, treated good by other cultures. And it makes sense because, Mexican culture, black cultures, we're very hospitable, very accepting and welcoming of other groups. So you just have this nah, they did right by me, so I'm gonna do right by them in any situation. I'm gonna ride for them, and that's where I think you're at with it.
Correct. You're 1,000% right. I don't look. And
I'm here to tell you, I don't give a fuck about all that. You ain't black. No, I'm just kidding.
No, here's the thing. Here's the thing. And black people arguably with me way more than you. That's the crazy part. Okay. Like you feel me? Like that's the crazy part. But I think that there's a big misconception. I'm glad I feel seen right now because I think I thought that you had this concept that I feel like I know how to solve the issues of the black community, and I'm like in a position where I'm able to speak. I don't believe that. You feel me? In any capacity.
I don't think you believe that.
Okay, because you've alluded to me having white savior complex on multiple occasions.
I'm sure you've been to like 12-step and stuff, so you learned all about like the things I can control, things I can't control,
right?
Wisdom,
the serenity prayer,
type shit. Yeah, so I don't think you're like that. My thing is like there are certain aspects of black life or the black community, like gang banging type shit. You defend that stuff, and I'm looking at it like, nah, that stuff, we got to get rid of that shit for our community to truly get back healthy and be on the path forward or on an upward trajectory. And so you got to see it from my perspective. This guy's defending shit that I really think we need to get rid of. So obviously I look at you as like, you in the way.
I understand that. But now, who do you frequently pod with? The two other gentlemen that are sitting at this table with us right now.
No, come on, let's talk about it, Lush.
Because I don't know how they identify as far as activity, but these are both admitted and proud members of a community. You feel me?
Yeah, the black community.
The black community as well as the Crips in Long Beach. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Saint the Spark no more. Like, shout out to the shit.
You dig? So with that being said, these guys are epitomizing what you are against.
They're really not epitomizing it, but they know how I feel about the situation. And deep down inside, they know that what I'm saying is true. Every black person knows we gonna have to address the gang shit big time, because if we talking about our numbers dwindling and all that stuff, even drill music, like people would say gang members support drill music, right? You would say they love it, right?
For the most part.
Okay, but if you ask this dude, if we could get rid of drill music, if it meant eliminating a lot of black deaths, he'll be like, get rid of that shit.
And I agree with that too.
Exactly. So it's not that they're epitomizing this negative thing. It's that I'm cool with them because I understand that when it all comes down to it, they agree with what I think. Maybe not the way I deliver the message, but they know like something has to happen. Something change is necessary.
Sounds like selective politicking.
No, it's not at all. No, it's not at all.
Because you know that, okay, these are intelligent black men. They might be gang members, but they're able to like thrive in other capacities. So you really can't say shit. But that kind of defeats the argument.
But they're not out recruiting kids to join a gang. They're kids. They're not like, yeah, you gonna be a Hoover Crip. There's ignorant niggas out here doing that. So they're just. But I'm not. You know, I'm not trying to mention their specific gang. But they're not. There are people who raise their children to be in gangs. Right? That's a problem.
That's not a mutually exclusive problem of the black race either, by the way.
I'm not saying it's mutually exclusive. There's many people do it. But what I'm saying is there's a difference between a gang member, like I'll give you an example, like Melvin Farmer, right? Okay. So I had a conversation with Melvin Farmer and I asked him a real question. I said, do you believe, because I asked him, do you think gangs need to be over? He said, no. I said, is the reason that you feel gangs don't need to be done away with because is your reasoning for that if we do away with gangs, you lose your importance? See, a lot of people hold on to gang banging because if gang banging were to be done away with, they would just be regular people.
But I mean,
especially the OG.
But here's the thing:
especially the OG.
Inherently, in their inception, gangs were created as a means to protect the community.
Hell no.
Absolutely.
Hell no.
From racist outsiders.
No.
Don't say hell no.
No,
hell no.
So I'm a
community revolution.
That was later.
Community revolution in progress.
But everything,
shout out to the Panthers.
Exactly. From the Panthers was a gang, but we heard us all about
the Panthers were a political party.
That they was
AKA
a gang. Man, they was moving together.
Political
as a gang.
party.
They wore certain jackets. They represented certain things. They was a gang. Maybe their movement and their goals was different about the way they moved about it. They still was a gang. We don't hear too much flack about the cartels when they whack niggas every motherfucking day. You don't speak on none of that.
Me?
Anybody in general. Niggas don't say get rid of the police force because they're out here smacking niggas. They're another form of a gang. The Army, the Navy, it's just different aspects and goals about how you going about it. That's what needs to change the trajectory of where it's headed. Most gang members don't have no end game. Most gang members don't have no goal or no foresight to see where this is going to get you. And some niggas don't give a f. But that's the biggest problem with gangs. Gangs ain't just the sole problem of where we at. Like we just said earlier, when black people come together on some positive or some different shit, is the forces that's unseen still come after niggas at the end of the day.
I would encourage y'all, if you haven't, to watch a documentary called The Bastards Parties about the creation of the Crips and Bloods.
Everybody.
That's for all of them. I know y'all might could have seen that, but yeah. Because it pretty much substantiates everything that this guy just said and everything that I said.
I said this on another podcast. I don't remember which one. It might have been this one. But I said that 600, the dude who everybody's calling a snitch and he's the police and all that. I said I had a lot of respect for 600.
I'm sure you do.
Because, no, what people don't realize with the big U and 600 shit is that 600 is kind of like, he's the evolution of the gang member in the sense of like white gangs were once in the streets fighting with each other, killing each other. You saw the movie.
Gangs of New York. Gangs of New York.
Well, eventually those gangs, they went into the police force. They went into the fire department. They went into the unions. They basically went legit to a certain extent. The black gangs have to go through that same evolution. They have to find something else that kind of keeps the spirit of gangs alive, but it channels it into something that's beneficial to society.
Like hip
Like
hop,
600
like
being a cop.
like gangster rap
Like-
music though. I
No,
mean,
hell no. Like 600 being a cop, like y'all say, or campus police, or whatever.
So are you for gangs or against gangs?
I am
He's
against
against
gangs. I am against
Okay, so you're against gangs. Are you for gangs?
I'm
or
for
against
gangs. If we're gonna make it as base of a comment as that,
Yeah,
you
you're
know
not
what I'm
in a
saying?
gang.
Like,
So are you saying he's a
yeah, it
hypocrite?
doesn't matter. Like,
by being cool with us?
yeah, he's a huge hypocrite.
Okay.
He's a huge hypocrite.
How?
Because like it's just like when Conrad was here, you were terrified. You wanted to suck him off. You feel me? Like you didn't want to like actually push back at any of his points. And it's almost like you were doing it in a demeaning way. You're like
So
playing.
I was glazing him, but I was demeaning him at the same time.
Let's coming for blood.
It's
This
demeaning.
nigga, let's so since he just
No, no,
said I
no.
was glazing him, then said I
Yes,
was demeaning
let
him.
him finish his
Yes,
point.
because you were
Yeah.
playing with him like kid gloves. With kid gloves, you're like, I was about to interject and be like, no, let him finish. Let him finish. Like it's a baby taking his first steps. Oh, let him walk across the room. And then afterwards, you want to be like, oh, of course. Like, what'd you say in your super chat? Why would I fucking take Conrad seriously? He's whacked out of his mind on drugs.
Well, for one, I never said why would I take him seriously.
essentially what
I
you
said.
said.
He was so high he could barely talk, and I could barely hear him.
It's
So when
Oddly
you-
enough, he made the most coherent points out of any of us.
To you, I see that, birds of a feather. But the thing is, I was just telling you to wait so I could actually hear what he was saying because he was talking kind of low. Glazing him, I don't even know George like that. His name is George, I think. But I don't even know George. What's funny is after I was done with that, my homie called me like, man, I knew that dude forever. It ain't about glazing. These people are big mythical figures to you. To me, they're just
How's he a
regular
big
people.
mythical
Well, you
figure?
was talking about I was scared of him. He must be something if you think I was scared of him, because that's crazy.
No, I was just like feeling your aura.
Why would I be scared of someone who's high?
Because how come you didn't have this energy talking about gangs are paramount of the destruction of
If
the
he
black
would have came
community?
in talking like he was talking, I would have said the same thing. Bro was barely getting his words out, so I was just like, and he ended up agreeing with me on a lot of shit.
He did not agree.
Yes,
with
he
you.
did. Like when he said, he said, we reached the point where ain't nobody holding black people down. It's just if you want to put the work in, you could do whatever you want. That was an
Can
agreement.
you
with me.
contextualize that?
That's literally what he said.
No,
We
but
can go
like,
back.
can you contextualize? I don't get what that means. In
The
context.
fact that a lot of black people play the victim. Oh, the man's holding me down and I can't move forward because the man, Conrad, basically threw that shit all the way out the window. He sat right here and said that. Ain't nobody holding black people down. You got to put in the work. You got to do it. And I actually respected that about him. I said, okay, bro. I said, despite bro trying to defend the gang shit, at the end of the day, he knows reality. And that's what you're going to find with most gang members and most people who defend gang shit. At the end of the day, they like, when the rubber be thrown, they're like, nah, man, this shit ain't really stopping a nigga from doing anything.
Yeah, I think gangs are actually needed, just not the way we're gang banging.
Correct.
Like bro said, everything is a gang. No matter you want to look at it that way or not. If you're a Christian, you're part of the Christian gang.
A football team.
If you're a Democrat, you're part of the Democratic gang. They just call it the Democratic Party, but it's a gang. The gangs out here, they have no end game. That's what black people need, an end game, a positive end game that's going to lead to success. Then we all bang that. But every time we start those gangs, what happens?
Infighting.
Interfere.
A different gang comes, interferes, tears it down, and we back to square one.
COINTELPRO, the police, etc.
But is that not what I just said about the evolution? The gangs need to evolve. That would be the end game. We need to find the positive. And if you look like the Hells Angels, they ain't running around here fucking people up no more.
Hell yeah, they are.
Well, there's still that element.
For sure.
Hell yeah, they are.
Nigga just got indicted a few years ago.
They all just kept it solid.
Yeah.
But what I'm
They're
saying
kicking
is,
big shit.
And you make it sound so easy, like it don't play a difference of being black trying to get accepted in somebody's police force versus a KKK member, ex-KKK member going to sign up and getting in those spaces. It's not going to be the same for niggas as it would be for them.
any situation, bro, if you go to places like Atlanta, Mississippi, Tennessee, all those places, there's whole cities where damn near the whole police force is black. So
Well, those are in predominantly black areas as well.
But guess what? Black people can go to predominantly black areas. They can enter into the political situation there.
Absolutely.
So what I'm saying is the same thing like what Viral just said. It has to evolve out of what it is now. But I believe what's stifling the black gangs evolution is people like you sitting up.
Yeah, I'm the reason why there's gangs are killing each other.
People like
Retard, bro.
People like you who don't want the gang culture to change because you are entertained by it and you have gotten to the point where you identify with
I never said
industry.
I never said that that gangs don't need to change. What I said is that in their core essence, gangs are not inherently detrimental to the black community.
They really are.
In fact,
they really are.
The reason why they started was a mechanism of community, of brotherhood, and of combating racist white gangs. Because if you know, South LA was a predominantly white region, right?
Right.
Compton, Watts, all predominantly white cities, right?
Right.
Black people started, black people were allowed to buy land over there. You feel me? They started inhabiting these areas.
We made it so bad all the white people had to move.
Well, you know
Made it
about
so bad. You made it bad showing up and being black.
Yeah,
they wanted to
that's
get
cool.
up out of it.
so you know, y'all know what the fuck white flight is.
Shooting up today.
Y'all know what white flight is,
for sure.
obviously. But before it got to that point, all the whites in those areas, predominantly like Inglewood, Linwood, all these different areas, wood. You notice that reoccurring theme in all their names. You feel me? Crazy, right? They tried to. They was bullying black people. They said you can't be outside past a certain time. Blah da 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 da. And that is the formation of gangs.
Shit, guess what? They should have bullied their ass. Maybe the areas would still be nice if they would have kept enforcing that shit.
He's
But
tweaking.
what I'm saying,
He's wild. Hold on.
This
Hold
why
on,
the
'cause you
ruckus
made it-
is coming
Oh God,
out.
this is ruckus. Y'all keep calling the Brandon's Uncle
the
Ruckus.
ruckus.
Listen, you made a great point about black people legitimizing what we're doing as far as going into the police forces, becoming judges, becoming lawyers. But you got to add nuance to that too, because it's just not that easy. If you don't change the culture of the system that we join in, it doesn't matter. I could be black and join those systems, but guess what? Those systems rules were built off of what?
but numbers change.
Hold on. I know, I get it, but they were built off of what?
I mean, go ahead.
Racism?
Yeah, racism.
Racism, white supremacy, right? So I'm a part of that system still. We've seen examples of that where judges did things that wasn't in favor of that and they were taken off of cases, where cops did things that wasn't in favor of that and they were taken off cases or suspended or given death duty. So until we address those issues, just joining it is not enough. That's only half the battle. But what about the culture that's already in place?
But
What about the culture
But
of
let me say
systemic
one
oppression?
thing, because you named like Atlanta and all these predominantly black places that usually those places they grew up with their cops. Like a lot of them be from their neighborhoods. You see them out there playing with each other and they actually know these people. When you come to cities out here, they go grab a cop that don't know nothing about LA gangs or Long Beach gangs or nothing like that. Bring them in here to enforce a certain way. They don't come here to protect and serve nobody. Police don't do nothing but react out here. This is why don't nothing change anyway. So even that being in the stance, they're never going to let you migrate and accept you as one of them.
And for the
I mean, you
record,
can get
Atlanta
hired
is
anywhere.
no longer predominantly black. The article just came out.
Predominantly
It
gay
is
now.
no longer predominantly black. It's been infiltrated. It's been taken over. People been moving. So y'all can look those stats up and fact check
No, that's
that as
facts,
well.
but this is the same playbook. Like we said, you get a black city now. What do they want now? They see it's too many of them prospering over there. We need to infiltrate this, regardless of how you want to look at it.
But the thing is, Atlanta, there's a lot of places down south where there are police forces that are predominantly black. And also you can go into different other police forces. My whole point is that you can't just say, oh, well, the police, you can't really judge the situation based on racism. You have to just look at the situation based on what's around you. If you flood the zone, you then change the culture. I'll give you a prime example. Look before it used to be illegal to set up burrito stands on the corner. The police will literally come and snatch all your shit. You remember when we was younger? They'll snatch all your shit. Do you got a license? Do you got this?
I mean,
do
they
you got
still
that?
do that.
Man, listen. Now it's to the point where certain cities are giving these niggas equipment. They made it super easy to get a license. You know why? Because once that group of people, Mexicans, became such a large population, they're the majority now.
I mean,
Once they
wasn't this their land at some point?
I'm not talking about that.
just saying.
Once they became the majority again, let's say that again, because it was their land, they sold it to us. Once they became the majority again, they were able to what? Change the culture.
It's crazy you say us like an American, but then you want to switch, like oscillate between American and Pan-African depending on the talking point. Whatever confirms your ideology. Like what the brother.
I'm a wait a minute.
Also, I'll say this.
Wait a minute.
What's up with your separatist ideology? I want to say, I have a
We've
question for
already
you.
proved that I'm not a separatist.
No, but do you think that your ideology is peppered by the fact that you're from the most racially contentious part of Southern California?
No, I'm going back to your first thing, then I'll address that. So I am a Pan-African person. Genetically, ethnically, I am an African. Nationally, nationalistically, I am an American. I am American national.
So you're pro-American, but you don't believe that it's in black people's best interest to even be here.
No, I didn't say it's. You didn't listen to me before.
But don't you own property in Africa, don't you?
Yes, I do. Why would I be anti-American when I am an American? That's my nationality. So I can be both. I can be a Pan-African and be an American citizen. That's what I am.
But isn't it kind of contradictive to be pro-black and to the extent that you are and represent the nation that enslaved your people?
But how am I representing?
Built on the backs of slavery? Make it make sense, player.
That should make me even more proud to be an American. If we built this bitch, I'm taking ownership. That's like saying you built a house and then be like, so many bad things happen in the house, I'm gonna just give it to somebody else. No,
it just seems like you switch your argument up when it's convenient and your ideology.
No, the thing is, black people are not monolithic. Black people can have different opinions.
But you said black people were the most monolithic people in the world.
No.
Like, you fucking switch. Oh, this is the biggest. Brandon, you're a smart dude, but you be fucking yourself up, bro, because you contradict yourself all the time.
I'm not contradicting myself.
Give an example.
He literally said 2 podcasts we did ago. I think it was the news 2 or 3 pods ago. He said black people are the most monolithic people in the entire world. Now he just said black people are not monolithic. Houseway.
So what I'm telling you is black people in ignorance are monolithic. Are thinking, and some people.
So just the negative aspects of black culture.
And we are monolithic in a negative way, but. When I'm saying monolithic, when I say we are not monolithic in a positive way, meaning black people can have different opinions. But if you talk to black people, like say something like hip hop is black culture, right? The average black person is going to be like, yeah. But in reality, a smart black person will be like, no, hip hop is a genre of music.
Started by black people.
It's black culture.
First of all,
it's a subculture.
It's black culture. Hip hop is black culture.
But
it's
a subculture.
When you think of hip hop, what do you think of?
There's black people who don't even listen to hip hop.
That doesn't make it black culture.
When you think of hip hop, what do you think of?
I think of hip hop is not black. Hip hop is not the definition of black culture. That's what people are arguing.
Yeah, but
a lot of black people.
You just changed what you said.
I'm not. A lot of black. I'm trying to explain it to you. A lot of black people think hip hop is black culture. Like that's what that's the definition of black culture entirety, right? Yeah. And I'm like, no, that's stupid to think like that.
Of course.
But there are a lot of black people who think like that.
So when people tell you you eat like black people like chicken or watermelon, what do the people attach that to?
They attach that to racism because that's a racist
But
statement.
is it more that black culture? So when you think of hip hop, you think more of a black people. The same way if I think of a damn taco or burrito, I'm going to think of Mexicans.
100% mariachi music.
But that's not the entirety of their culture. No. What I'm saying is to debug what you're saying low key, we're going to say that's Hispanic or Mexican culture, even though we know that's not the entirety of their culture.
But they got that shit from somewhere.
But hip hop is
the biggest problem I have with what you said is hip hop is not just a genre of music.
Hip hop is a subculture. It has become a subculture within black culture.
Correct.
It is not the epitome of black culture.
No,
for sure.
But there's been it's one of the most successful genres of music. It is the #1 genre of music in the world. It was created by black people and has provided black people.
It's the #1 genre of music in the world.
It is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
What's #1?
Yes, it is.
I think pop music is the
look it up.
You look it up.
All right, bro. But
hey, Donnie, can I get an unbiased? What is the
hold on? What are we judging by being #1?
#1 most popular genre of music.
Hip hop is
#1 for sure.
No.
Hip hop is #1 by far.
What's the most influential genre?
Not influential.
Okay. Sorry.
Popular.
Sorry. Okay. What is the most popular genre of music in the world?
Nah, it's hip hop.
It's not hip hop.
It's hip hop by far.
No, it's not.
For sure, it's hip hop.
Hip hop don't even got the most views on YouTube.
Number 1 pop, number 2 hip hop rap.
What? This
Hold
debate
on.
is over.
Hold on, what is it judging
I don't
by?
know.
Is it judging by album sales and views, or is it judging by
Popularity.
influence?
Yeah, so okay. This is also like a very
Can we acknowledge, Donnie, that I was right?
Yeah, my ChatGPT says hip hop.
It's hip-
Exactly.
Listen,
Yeah, exactly.
there's nobody in Africa trying to be a pop star.
No, there's real
They're
music
dressing
in
like
Africa.
But of course,
YNs
when
right
you,
now.
of course, you use
Yeah.
ChatGPT and say popular and pop is going to throw that in there.
No.
Yes.
If you go to every region of the earth, they emulate American hip hop
Hip
culture.
hop.
They're not emulating
but
pop culture.
to be fair, it is hip hop.
I said no. It's
No,
pop.
you asked him and he gave you the
He
answer and
gave
he gave you the
answer. He
facts.
did his and he gave answer too. No.
But also
Yes.
pop, you can't say is a single solitary genre because that has a different meaning in every country, and every country is a different
Pop
idea of
music
what pop music
is
means.
very distinct from hip hop, and
Actually, most
Pop is the
most pop music
popular.
contains, but most pop music nowadays contains elements of hip
elements
hop.
nowadays.
Yeah,
But even like Michael Jackson, he was like a pop artist.
right.
He was.
He's the king of pop.
He's the king of pop.
Again,
Popular.
yeah, that's what pop means.
Exactly.
Popular.
Pop music.
But Michael Jackson was heavily influenced
Hip-hop
by
ain't
hip hop,
at the-
R&B, New Jack Swing,
Listen, hip-hop
disco,
is not at the
soul,
top
all
of
different black
any-
genres.
Hip hop is not at the top of any global music charting system.
Well, that's not true. There's a rap music artist that's number 1 in several different countries. I mean, first of all, there is a time when
Internationally,
Drake was number 1 in multiple countries at the same
Multiple
time,
countries.
on multiple
but
charts.
as soon as you put him in the world music charts, he's not even in the top 5.
That's not true, also. But like here's the main thing.
Look it up right now. World music charts.
Currently, it's a slightly different landscape. However,
It's been that way for a
there's-
long
No,
time.
but there's been times where hip hop and hip hop artists were number
They
1.
got close. They never were number 1.
Problem is pop isn't a genre. It can
Exactly.
be argued, but it's
Pop is a genre.
Pop is not a fixed sound.
Nah, that's facts because you
That's
can
what I
say
said,
because
sound.
you can say Drake has transcended to pop.
He is.
Pop is
Yeah.
not. Pop is 100% a genre. We just said Michael Jackson was the king of pop, so it has
King
to be
of
a genre.
popular, like he said, we're counting Michael Jackson. You're gonna count Michael Jackson as a singer. If you have to break it down to context, you're gonna count Drake as a rapper / singer, but he's still popular.
Yes, but pop is the number 1 most popular genre of music, and it has been on top of the charts over hip hop for decades.
Okay, so charts. Let's take the charts out of it. Out of influence, which one would be more influential to you?
probably
By a significant margin. You know the
hip
answer.
hop would be
You know the
pretty
answer.
So
influential.
so if I go around the world and I see almost every culture in the world emulating Black American hip hop culture, I'm gonna assume that's more popular than pop music, even though they might be streaming pop music more.
They like those people will be emulating hip hop and also emulating popular culture.
Okay, so would
They'll be
you
doing both.
Is there a single genre of music in the world that's created more wealth, opulence, and prosperity for Black people than hip hop?
No.
Okay.
No, of course not.
Okay, so would you say that like
Is there a genre of music that has led to more death in the Black community than hip hop?
I would probably give you the same answer.
Okay, then. So
Probably gave you the same answer.
Yeah,
That's kind of what makes. So would you say that hip hop is a destructive force for the Black
It is a
community?
destructive force.
How so?
Because it's just been the problem with hip hop is there was no true gatekeeping. There was no real gatekeeping around hip hop.
What does that mean?
That means the dudes who are the progenitors of hip hop, the dudes who are the pioneers of hip hop, they allowed it to be infiltrated by the negative people who were bringing in negative elements. Like every rapper who is not a drill rapper should be speaking out against drill rap. Why? Because, or especially artists who do drill rap and then go out and live what they rap about in drill rap, or encourage people. Like I got the little kid saying, I want people to slide to my music. That guy should automatically be ostracized from the hip hop community.
Well, yeah, it's like straight like genocide agenda.
That's genocide, yeah.
like, I don't disagree with that.
So do you agree that you agree with what he's saying? Hip hop is negative for the community?
No, I don't believe that hip hop is negative for the community at all. I think in its extremity, when you talk about things like drill music, it's difficult to find the silver lining outside of the fact that you look at certain examples of individuals, I'll just use Chief Keef as an example. I use G Herbo as another example. These are two guys that came from the impoverished inner city of Chicago and were making really negative music that was perpetuating violence. However, they then transcended it, removed themselves from that area, stopped making music that was pushing those specific agendas.
And they immediately became way less popular.
Well, not
Yeah, but do y'all think Chicago would be as highlighted if they never spoke about the stuff in their music?
Absolutely not.
Because them kids still had to live that life before they even got into doing drill music.
Absolutely not. Nobody cared about Chicago in a hip hop landscape at that point. There was literally Kanye West. There was Common, there was the Brats, you feel me? Bump J,
and stuff.
Lupe,
Yeah.
and that's a great
And that
starting
shit
roster.
wasn't really happening back then.
But there wasn't like a movement for Chicago. There's way less outlets for young, poor black artists to get recognized on a national scale and transcend their region. So drill music was helpful in that regard. It was the people that wound up falling victim to the propaganda and the negativity and kind of got lost in the sauce of the message that didn't transcend
So
it.
is it safe to say this is one of those arguments where two things could be right at the same time? Because if you look at the inception of hip hop, it started based off positivity. It started at bucking the system. It started at knowledge of self and fight the powers that be.
Right.
Once they monopolized hip hop and started to make money off of hip hop, and then started to invest in private prisons, then using the drill music and the gangster rap to usher us into those private prisons to make money. That's where the negative aspect comes from it. But then on the flip side, you can't take the positivity out of it.
But that's what I'm saying. The people were the pioneers of hip hop. That's why I say it's negative, because they allowed their genre, their music that they created, the music that they popularized, the genre that they put on the map, they allowed it to be turned into something that became a negative a tool of basically destruction within the community. They did not speak up. And you want me to tell you this? Those rappers, they literally will just co-sign anybody. Like, it don't matter if the rapper's gay or not, that I have a problem with gay people, but like if it's the drill rapper or whatever, they just, you give me a check? Yeah, this dude is next up. It's like a whole culture. Like, whoever got the money, I'm going to co-sign it. At that point, it's now no longer in your control. You're totally capable of being bought out, and it's negative. It needs to be torn down and rebuilt to something better.
So who infiltrated, and whose fault is it that hip hop wound up going in that direction? And what would you say was like the turning point around what year?
I would say the record labels had a lot to do with it, where they were promoting and marketing shit that was speaking about negative things, killing and all that, drug use, right? And we just didn't keep ownership of any of it. So it's not even who entered it. It is black people who mishandled it.
What year did NWA come out? I would say
87.
I would say that's the turning point.
Yeah, and so they're for like straight out of Compton, I believe 88 is like the actual, but like really they came out in 87. I want to say Dope Man by Ice Cube dropped in 86, 87.
But
That's when gangster rap really caught the steam and really.
So the first gangster rap group artist ever is Schoolie D from Philadelphia, and then there's a group called 3 Times Dope, and then Ice-T, who's actually from New Jersey, but came out in LA in 83, 6 in the morning. A lot of people credit as
he made the right move. But what I'm saying, I want to say this: I wouldn't even say NWA was like the turning point, because NWA was very much about maintaining control,
100%,
retaining control of their intellectual property or IP.
I think Cube was the only one.
Cube, but then Eazy-E started his own record label.
Eazy was an entrepreneur, straight up.
Eazy-E, people don't know this, but the Jewish guy who was like over that, Eazy-E had a very lucrative contract with him.
Oh yeah, him and Jerry. Him and Jerry
was fucking the rest of his people off the same.
Exactly.
Right.
But the thing I'm saying,
and whose fault was that?
Well, that's their fault because they didn't read their contracts. But this
it's also kind of easy for being janky.
But think about this. But Eazy-E at least had the awareness to maintain a controlling interest in what was going on. After Eazy died, and then Ice Cube, he was always about controlling his stuff. It just became this like, I'm gonna sell my soul for a couple $100,000, and you do whatever you want to with this music. You can only blame us.
And then Ice Cube started doing movies about like being like a dad and a cop and all that.
positivity.
At the
Yeah,
end of the day, the onus is on us for selling it. But at the same time, you still got to look at, okay, if I'm dead broke in the fucking projects, ducking bullets, moms can barely make ends meet. Jewish guy shows up with a check, or whoever, whatever race guy owns the record company shows up with a check. I'm taking the check. Most of them never seen a contract in their life. So it is more nuanced to the situation. Then when you look at with, I believe it was Bone Thugs, they talked about the secret meeting in '94.
Yeah, yeah.
Where they was
They was
talking
on
about
Ruthless.
the private prisons and the record companies actually investing into them.
Yeah.
Then you start to see the landscape of the music change to just drill, kill, kill. And that's all we giving the checks to.
Facts. But you guys understand that it's not just black artists that have been by, it's literally artists in general have been by the industry from day one.
But
y'all realize that this isn't a mutually exclusive problem by the Jews. Y'all know that Barry Gordy.
We never said that. You brought that up.
No, I'm
It's
just
4 o'clock, by the way.
Yeah. We got 15 more minutes.
Nah, hell no. You said you had a hard start. Stop at 4.
I said
You said
4:15.
Y'all said fuck all the
I
time.
said
I'm here
4:15.
trying to read the topic.
Hey, if you are Lush's girlfriend, just know that we
She gonna kick
literally
my ass.
told him to come do whatever he had to do for you. And he talking about he got 15 more minutes.
I got 10 more minutes. But if you want to wrap it up, we
Blaze
can.
his ass.
But I will say this.
You said you ain't
Nah,
done.
if you got something to do, I ain't trying. We
No,
got a million here.
You waving
I'm
the
not-
white flag?
If
or-
y'all hire me at No Jumper, you could talk to me every day about this nonsense.
Nonsense. I think I smoked your boots, frankly, to be honest. Like
You lost,
like,
Lush.
I think
You
I smoked
lost,
your
man.
boots. What do you guys
90%
think?
of your shit was
I think both
wrong.
of y'all made good points, and I think both of y'all missed some points.
But
So
I was
I can't
totally-
say neither one of y'all smoked each other because the topics low key bounced around. Y'all never really stayed
The
on
biggest W
any
you took,
topic.
I'll give you like the biggest W you took is I didn't have a clear response to you being an FBA.
Oh,
and like,
you're
yeah.
wrong about
Nah, he smoked you on that.
Yeah, you
He
like,
been
you-
Pan-African.
Yeah, so you got me on that point. You feel me? I was really trying to get you to turf off.
But that's the thing.
But I do feel like you'll switch your agendas and your ideology
Never.
for a conversation for the convenience of your argument. I mean, we've seen you do it
I'm
3
fully
times a
invested
day.
in Pan-Africanism.
Why do you
and
think
Africa.
he's an agent though? Like, are you saying he's coming here and switching up his whole who he is as a creator to fit here?
No, I don't think he. I think he. His presence over here is the same thing he did in the FBA movement.
No, let me say this. The reason you know that that's not true is because I be on they pod. I argue with them.
Yeah.
The difference is they're mature. Suspect is immature. So he's jumping up because he's a loser. They are accomplished men. This is a man child. So because he reacted the way he did, and then subsequently I reacted the way I did, you guys are like, he has an agenda. No, I'm just dealing with a child right here.
I don't think
So
the
I'm treating him
suspect
like that.
thing has anything to do with
That's what started this. Stop. That's what started everything.
But okay, so am I childish? Am I able to debate
yeah,
you?
you got some
Okay.
you got some childhood trauma.
Hey, let's do the answer to that
Nah,
before we even
but
ask the
even
question.
you would admit on some things you are immature about.
Of course.
Okay.
But
So-
do I?
but you are also mature enough to come back, sit down with me, let's have a discussion.
Yeah.
You're not like, whenever he's there, don't have me there because I'm scared.
I'm not PCing up for anybody in this
Exactly.
motherfucker. And
So
I'm not-
you said, so you're admitting suspects in PC.
Both of y'all
He's
are.
a protective
You guys are
He's just
separated.
admitting it, right, Donnie?
You guys are separated from
Donnie,
each
you
other.
just admitted. No, I
You're-
ain't separated. I asked to be on that show.
Somebody rolled it up.
The other day,
Somebody rolled it up.
The other day, I got the text right now in my phone. I told Adam, you should put me on the news at 12. Adam said, oh, I can't have you in there with suspect unless I get his permission.
I would like you
So
to
who
suspect
rolled
that.
it up? Who wrote it up?
I didn't see him roll it up.
Who rolled it up?
I would like to
Adam
see y'all.
just told me.
I would like to see y'all have a debate of this nature that I moderate.
Listen, suspect could sit right there. I will come sit in this chair. I won't even touch him. Here's the thing. You know, like I know. The minute we say something suspect doesn't like, just like Donnie knows, the minute we say something suspect doesn't like, what is he gonna do, Donnie? You got a mic right there. What is he gonna do, Donnie?
Don't work, but yeah, I mean, he just
He gonna start flipping out.
So the reason
he's
why
he's gonna be
I don't give
incoherent.
a f- about what you and bro got going on.
No, that's cool. But what I'm telling you is that's the difference. We can all sit here like, man, you could say something I don't like.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't agree with that, but I'm not going to go crazy. This guy just be exploding.
Well, yeah. I mean,
well, yeah, shit.
I would say, but also I feel like you tried to use tactics to bait, bro. You feel me? You tried to do some shit because like when you're going against what's the retard's name that you debated last week? You feel me? That fucking J-Cat. Dudes like that.
The white guy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You feel me? Like
he was for sure.
that fool's a fucking socially inept moron.
So
Can I ask
you feel me?
Let me ask you one question.
yeah.
If I baited Sus, why did I ask him the question off camera? Baiting would have been done on camera.
No. It was right before the camera went on. And
I didn't know that.
Look. Here's the thing. Yeah, you did. You know what time the show starts.
Jump in, nigga. Hey, look, hold on, because I'm gonna keep it real, bro.
Yeah.
You get a PC version of him here. I think he's trying to acclimate to the culture here. This nigga's way worse on our team.
I want to
We
see
get
it
worse.
worse.
We get the full uncut, where we be wanting to strangle this nigga.
I want
so when I watch
uncircumcised.
him here,
Raw.
and they're like, "Oh my God, he's a ruckus." I said, "What? This nigga's PC over here."
Yeah. No.
This nigga, bro.
I
I'm
be
telling
chilling
you,
over here.
he be chilling over
You
here. I
can
ain't gonna
bring
lie.
Josh and ask him. And even Josh said, I don't think Brandon meant anything by it. He was just asking because I honestly thought I misheard him.
No, but you also know, like, look, you're used to debating with like the Nick Fuentes arc of motherfuckers, right? You're and you know the number one talking point that these racist white people have to say is, "Oh, black men have poor impulse control." Da 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 da.
And Suspect proved shit like that.
Boom, but you like wanted him to prove it.
No, I did not.
You
I
wanted
didn't even
him.
know
You did it
him.
on purpose.
I didn't even know
to
about-
try to like
Listen.
to try to be like, look at these guys over here.
No
jumper
no.
is supporting the low vibrational type of black man. Blah blah blah.
I have been on No Jumper several times.
Let's get Suspect here. Let's get Brandon here.
Yeah.
And let them hash it out.
We could do that.
Let them
On
debate
top
it
of
out.
that, are you down for a part 2? Because we barely even
You gonna
scratched the
bring
surface.
Suspect? I'll bring.
No,
listen,
I want me versus
these
you
dudes
part
will,
2.
No, these dudes will guarantee peace.
Guarantee
They'll make
he
sure
won't
that
do
happens.
nobody.
I'm with that.
And we put Suspect and you on this side, and me and Viral on my side on this side.
That's cool.
I'll do it.
I'm with that.
That's my
I'm
only
with that because I can.
that's-
I'll
Yeah,
smoke
set
all
it up.
three of you guys if it comes down to it.
Look,
I mean, like,
look,
And then if
You know
Suspect
you don't
goes,
want
we
no
can jump
smoke
his
this
ass.
way.
No.
That's why Lush didn't stay on. Hey, this is why Lush didn't stay on one topic. Don't let him fool you. He didn't stay on one topic because he felt like he knew he was gonna get cooked.
no.
He
hell
was
no.
bouncing
Hell
around.
no.
Hey, that's
Hell
why
no.
he didn't want to go down that topic.
He didn't go
That
down
nigga
that
looked.
We
He
had
said,
that.
"Hell
Actually,
no."
No, we should have. Here's the thing, because Brandon has a tendency to do filibusters, aka talk, make 17 points, not even refute the first one you said, and by the time it's your turn to respond, everybody's falling asleep.
Did I do
'cause
that
his game-
to him?
But you should be able to
his game
come
voice is so
That's
boring.
why every shot you threw at him, he just brushed it off because he knew it was bullshit. It's like it was nothing really. It was nothing. There was no grounds right there to stand up.
It
He was just going to come at the wall, hoping something
it was
sticks.
Oh, yeah. Me and Sus versus y'all three.
We don't smoke y'all niggas. Hey,
Y'all
one
gonna
question
destroy
before we
Sus
go.
gonna melt down all the way.
Because I got to know. The
Yes.
dude he debated last week was a idiot. What's your view on Nick Fuentes?
He's an idiot too.
Okay.
But he,
I'm going to tip my hat to that.
yeah, he's an
Are you
idiot.
saying he's unintelligent, or he's
Hold
an
on.
idiot because you don't agree with him?
I agree with nothing he says. Nick Fuentes, he's a bitch. Him as a
Except?
staff,
I agree.
record label, and a motherfucking crew.
I don't agree with that.
There is no except. I know you guys both fucking suck Republican 24/7.
I think he's an articulate idiot. He's a grifter.
Yes, thank you.
He's a race baiter,
That's what I was-
baiter.
Yes,
He just says shit about black
he's
people to get
significantly.
people.
He has significantly
I don't
more
believe-
information, and like this dude that you were debating, he's clearly like a Twitter baby that doesn't even know I have proper social interaction skills.
So do you feel like I filibustered today, or I did?
No,
good
not
at
at all.
there? Okay.
No, not at all. I think this was a fair conversation.
You still got your ass whooped.
I smoke shit. We know what's up. You trick. You got yourself in a trick bag like 3 times.
Right.
W's in the chat for Lush. You know.
W's in the chat is crazy.
But
He on the suspect shit
But
now.
I will say, you feel me? That shit was dope. You
Yep.
feel me? I fuck with you.
Okay.
And I fuck with your mind.
We jumping your ass next time. Nigga.
No, yeah, I'm gonna need that from all three of you.
Because I was
all
being
three of
unbiased
y'all.
today. We come back, we smoking shit.
I think that you guys, I think that these guys know that I won, and they was on my side until it was 3 against 2, and then all of a sudden it became a Long Beach versus LA.
Nah, I was on his bumper about more
Exactly.
shit than you.
You was on my side. That's what I'm saying. We know the truth. We know the truth.
You got to
feel
add
me?
nuance to these conversations because you can't just make blanket statements without giving the background to what you're
I
saying.
thought you had the video loaded up like you was finna show something. You know, he like,
Right?
No,
yeah,
no,
that shit just
no. I do got videos loaded up. I just don't want to get us copyright strict. Yeah, dig.
Good
Videos
pod-
loaded
that's good
up with me
podcasting right
talking?
there.
But with that
yeah,
being
I
said,
know it was him
there's
talking all that
we didn't
FBA
get. We're
shit.
done. But next time, one of the primary topics I'd like to discuss with you is anti-Semitism. With that being said, Lush vs. Brandon show coming soon to No Jumper.
Hey, shout out to everybody out there in the chat, man.
We love
Mr.
y'all.
Viral himself, man. Viral Way Podcast. Y'all know what's going on. Shout out to Adam,
You
cuz.
feel me?
Oh, hey guys, listen, Defiant with Brandon Tucker.
Deviant Brandon.
Next time I'm gonna show up with Louis Farrakhan, since he wants to talk about anti-Semitism.
And we know the downest white
bring you a
boy,
bean pie.
the downest white boy in this motherfucker. I need one. And what's the
You're
newspaper
not
called?
white, you're like Armenian.
I'm everything. I'm
You're
whatever you are.
Armenian.
Whatever race you are.
No, he's Italian.
Yeah,
That's
whatever
why
race
the
you
black
are.
sheep, they like, man, you look too Mexican.
He's Italian. Ragazzi, vi amo tutti.
Hey, get your fingers out the gabagool. With that being said, like, share, subscribe. We out this one.
Like, share,
Stay
subscribe. We out of
tuned,
here, man.
man.
Viral game.